Hello and welcome. I'm in hell. It's week 13 in the NFL. Week 12 went extraordinarily poorly for me. Maybe about as poorly as it could have possibly gone.
Hey, you guys didn't lose by much. It could have gone worse.
Right, but we lost to an in-conference opponent, and the Bucks got blown out and lost Baker Mayfield. Panthers have a shot at the NFC South now, especially if Baker Mayfield is going to miss extended time. It's the first headline we have here. I'm still processing it. It's a Monday morning. We are recording this so much earlier in the week than we ever do. Monday Night Football has not been played yet.
No, so any information that we share for VOD watchers or on the main podcast this week, keep in mind that the information is without the insight of Monday Night Football because we are currently recording on Monday at 11:55 a.m.
It's without the insight of Monday Night Football. It's without the injury insight of the rest of the week. We benefited greatly. Obviously, the timing of everything wasn't great, but we benefited greatly from filming during Thursday Night Football because most of the injury information was already set. And certainly by the time we were done editing, all of the injury information was set. Our first headline, I don't want to talk about it. It's been a little more than 12 hours since the game ended. The Eagles, oh boy, they lost in such a fashion that I didn't even watch Sunday Night Football. I just score checked it this morning and watched a review of it so that I knew generally what happened. But fuck, man, that one hurt.
Yeah, Eagles lost yesterday in what I would consider a pretty embarrassing fashion. Went up big early game, put up 21-0 to start the game, and then went scoreless for second, third, and fourth quarter. Ended up losing the game. Not in overtime. There were a couple other games that went to overtime, but this one almost did, but didn't. Cowboys ended up kicking the game-winning field goal to win the game 24-21. In Dallas is still a big loss. Eagles lose the 1 seed.
For now, at least.
For now.
If they manage to pull even with the Rams before the end of the season, they will have the 1 seed.
Which is very much so, very possible. But when you see that kind of performance after a not-so-convincing win against Detroit and a not-so-convincing win against the Packers, it feels like the Eagles are kind of sputtering a little bit.
Well, is it fair to say that they've been sputtering for the whole season? Because our offensive coordinator, I thought for the most part Kevin Patullo did an okay job yesterday. Our offensive line's run blocking was atrocious. Barkley ran the ball 10 times for 22 yards. Tank Bigsby, in his only carry, went for 8. Jalen Hurts was the team's leading rusher. And we talked about it early in the season with the Chiefs. Having your quarterback be the leading passer and rusher is not a sustainable formula to win football games. It cost the Chiefs early in the season. It cost the Eagles last night. I don't know what the right solution is for this Eagles team because the defense is so good. It sputtered against Dallas yesterday, but when the offense is gaining less than 20 yards on every drive after their third touchdown drive, which came not far into the second quarter, it's really, really tough as a defense to hang out there every play. And they did an admirable job for the most part. This is going to come off as bitter, but we have talked at times this season about how rough the officiating has been in the NFL. It reared its head against both teams yesterday in Dallas. The Eagles got some calls early. Dallas got a lot of calls late. There was a stretch of time during which the Eagles were called for 7 penalties since the Cowboys had last been called for 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a coaching issue and a what's the word I'm looking for?
Disciplinary.
That's it. It's a discipline issue. The offense has to be better. There's really no way around it because this Eagles team cannot win a Super Bowl. It is worth mentioning. The Eagles have not lost at home. They have lost to only division opponents and an out-of-conference opponent. It's not the worst thing in the world to go 13-4 and split with your division opponents and have an out-of-conference loss. But in a year where the rest of the NFC, particularly LA, Seattle, and Chicago, are so strong, this is one Philly really needed to win. It's their first loss in the Kelly Greens.
Yeah.
But hey, A.J. Brown got his yards, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that the Eagles can't win a Super Bowl because, I mean, anything can happen any given week. Any team can get hot at any point in the season, and we have seen evidence of this Philadelphia offense be successful, but something we haven't talked a lot about on this show is the idea of complementary football, which is exactly why the Eagles lost in my eyes last night. The offense was doing absolutely nothing to help the defense get rest and stay off the field for longer than what felt like a 3-minute span, especially in the second half. It just felt like every time you looked at the television, the Cowboys' offense was on the screen. And when you leave your defense out there so much, it makes it so much more difficult for them to restrain an offense. The Eagles have a home game against another one of the NFC top dogs. They've got the Chicago Bears coming to town on Black Friday. And to me, it's kind of it's another prove it game. Like, I mean, because I feel like all season the Eagles have been winning, but similarly to the Broncos in what's been talked about in a lot of context, it hasn't really been like convincing.
And for what it's worth, even the Broncos managed a convincing win over the Cowboys. Pre-trade deadline, they didn't have Quinnen Williams yet. They didn't have Logan Wilson. But even the Broncos managed a convincing win against the Cowboys.
And when you don't have convincing, like, you're winning football games as the Eagles, but it's not very convincing, and the offense has been highly inconsistent. But we'll see what happens on Black Friday this week with the Bears. On to our next headline. I'm much happier on this Monday morning. I was able to watch my Rams dominate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football last night in a huge way. I mean, dominated in every facet of the game, won 34-7, and was what felt like 6 straight weeks of dominant defense.
Oh yeah,
from the Rams. They forced 2 interceptions. Granted, one was a garbage time heave at the end of the first half. But last night, I believe they had 5 team sacks. They were getting after both Baker Mayfield in the first half and Teddy Bridgewater in the second half. They were really great in coverage, and this just feels like a really dominant stretch for this defense. And when your defense is playing like that and your offense is also putting up 4 touchdowns a week, it's pretty hard to lose football games.
Yeah.
The Rams right now are playing excellent complementary football, and are now holders of the 1 seed. They're getting hot at what feels like the perfect time. This week, for the next couple of weeks, they've got some much easier matchups. They've got the Carolina Panthers, which could be a trap game, but should be one that they get. And then the following week, they go into Arizona for the first time this season. But the Rams right now, they're hot. They're looking really, really good. And I think right now they've absolutely got to be the Super Bowl favorites.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the Rams are everything the Eagles have been pretending to be this season. And the only knock on LA is a loss to San Francisco and a loss to Philadelphia. Those are their only 2 losses of the season. One of them came at home, a home loss to the 49ers. They ended up beating them at Levi Stadium. They lost to Philadelphia in Philadelphia. And the only concern that I have with the Rams on what should be their path to the Super Bowl is come NFC Championship time, who will have more fans in the stands. And I think it depends on who their opposing team is. If the Niners manage to make it to the conference championship, it will be a de facto Niner home game. If the Eagles figure their shit out, it'll be a neutral site game. If Seattle makes it to the NFC Championship game, it'll again be a neutral site game, in my opinion, because Seattle is close enough to LA that people will make that trip for that game. Which really only leaves the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the winner of the NFC South as the teams that may not take over those stadiums. And if we're being honest, how many of those teams have a chance at the NFC Championship game? Maybe Green Bay, maybe Detroit, maybe Chicago. But how many of those teams even are realistically going to be there come conference championship weekend compared to the likelihood of San Francisco, Seattle, Philadelphia?
I mean, the thing with San Francisco is that I think out of the teams in the NFC, I think the team they have the best chance of beating probably is the Rams, and that's just due to familiarity and division dynamics. Outside of that, which is why I'm only worried about the Niners if the Niners make it past the first round, which they probably won't.
That's true. That could be a divisional round match. If they're the 7th seed, that could be a divisional round matchup at SoFi. That could be the first playoff game the Rams have to play.
But like I said, they're probably not making it out of the first round no matter who else that they play, especially if it's Philly or Detroit or any of the NFC North winners. And I think we all know that the NFC South is most definitely not going to be the 2nd or the 3rd seed. But, yeah, right now, I mean, even with the fan disadvantage that the Rams may have, the Rams are very, very close to being 11-0.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. If they just make one of those kicks against Philly, they win in Philly. If Kyron Williams doesn't fumble the ball on the 1-yard line against San Fran, or if Matthew Stafford doesn't miss Devontae Adams on an open slant in the end zone, they don't lose to San Fran. So it's even if the Rams have a de facto away game because of the lack of support at SoFi, does it really matter? And frankly, right now, I don't think it does. Because I mean, the NFC right now is filled with a bunch of maybes. Maybe the Lions, maybe the Packers, maybe the Bears, maybe the Panthers, maybe the Bucks. And at this point, I think we have to start saying maybe the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's a whole bunch of maybes, but the Rams have been the one constant in the NFC so far this season that they have really been dominant at both sides of the ball.
And speaking of teams that have been dominant on both sides of the ball, our final headline is that the Broncos come out of this week as the 2nd biggest winner in the AFC. Biggest winner, Patriots. Locked themselves into the 1 seed for now. We'll see how the rest of their season goes. But Denver, they lost a little bit of ground in the AFC West. I don't think they're as concerned about that as they are a trip to the 1 seed. And with Indianapolis's loss in Kansas City, Kansas City's first 1-score win of the year, oh boy, does that help Denver. Denver, one of their only head-to-head losses is against their only 2 head-to-head losses are against Indianapolis and the Rams at SoFi. They lost to Indy in Indy. They lost to the Rams at SoFi. And now the Colts lost to someone the Broncos beat, which means they don't have head-to-head, which is the first tiebreaker, but they do have common opponent, at least for now. We'll see how the second matchup between the Broncos and the Chiefs goes. But, oh boy, did the Broncos enjoy their bye week. Hats off to Denver. This is really more of a shout-out than anything. Hats off to Denver. You are the 2 seed currently in the AFC. And Kansas City, despite the win, still currently out of the playoff picture.
I mean, yeah, the AFC playoff picture right now, I mean, it is an absolute dogfight for wild card spots. I mean, these are all of the 500 or above teams who are in the wild card race in the AFC. You've got the Bills at 7-4. You've got the Jaguars at 7-4. You've got the Chargers at 7-4. And then at 6-5, you've got the Steelers. You've got the Texans,
who beat the Chiefs head-to-head, I
who
believe.
have the head-to-head over the Chiefs, and you've got the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, there are 6 teams that are fighting for a wild card spot right now. And honestly, I think the AFC wild card race is going to be really entertaining down the stretch.
I absolutely agree. It's going to be a wild finish. I think that obviously one of the Ravens or the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. I don't think the other team there is terribly likely to.
No.
But it's worth mentioning that the Steelers and the Texans have the same record as the Chiefs because based on the way different tiebreakers might shake out, that's potentially 2 teams that might have tiebreaker over Kansas City, which means Kansas City doesn't just need to be 10-7 or 9-8. They need to be better than those 2 teams.
Frankly, to me right now, like they can probably afford one more loss.
I agree.
If they get 2 more losses, I don't think they're in.
Well, and it bears mentioning for both Dallas and Kansas City, this week's matchup on Thanksgiving is a must-win. We'll talk about this more on the main pod. But the loser of that game is not officially eliminated from the playoffs, but their road gets a lot harder from there. I don't think that segues nicely into any of our Player of the Week awards. We did manage to fill out a full slate for the weekly awards this week, starting with Unk Still Got It. Tyler Lockett, 33 years old. Every time the Raiders were on screen, it seemed like number 17, which is a weird number for him to be wearing, was involved in the play somehow. Either he was being targeted or he'd caught the ball. 4 catches, 62 yards, no touchdowns. His best performance of the season. He and Geno have a really nice connection.
I mean, it feels like yesterday, hearing about Tyler Lockett breaking out, going from punt returner to a genuinely quality receiver in Seattle. I mean, his to make such an impact at receiver at such a size is very impressive. To do so at 33 years old on a team like the Raiders continues to be impressive. So Tyler Lockett, congratulations.
And that is despite the Raider loss. In fact, quite a few of these awards are despite the loss, including our big man of the week, Walter Nolan. Every time the Cardinals were on screen, big number 97 was somewhere to be found. His most impactful play of the game came early. 1 fumble recovery, returned it for 7 yards, plucked it right out of the air, scored a touchdown. You disagree with the big man of the week on this one.
I do, and this was a pure just a film watch. Steve Avila, the Rams left guard, had an absolutely phenomenal game against the Buccaneers while blocking Vita Vea about half the time. And Vita Vea is a very, very, very good defensive tackle. On pretty much every single run play, he was pushing the line, getting a couple yards of ground, not letting his man go anywhere. And on pass block, he kept the pocket clean. Just did a really great job, whether it was he was on an island or a double team or moving up to the second level. I mean, he just played absolutely great football. And to shout out, because he has not been mentioned yet this season, but he is breaking out and is currently PFF's second graded left guard. Steve Avila is having a great year and had a really great game last night.
So I do have to ask,
Yes.
how many times a week do you think about how different the Week 3 Philly-LA game would have been if Steve Avila were in instead of Bo Limmer?
Never, because I have confidence the Rams are going to win in January.
Fair enough. Speaking of the Rams, my NFC player of the week, and I need to make clear that this is my pick because you have someone else.
I do.
I picked Matt Stafford, 25 of 35, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Kind of a pedestrian game for him, but if a pedestrian game involves over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, you may as well just take the MVP award. Now, Stafford had another great game in a week where Jonathan Taylor really didn't do much to aid his stock.
And also part of that 3-touchdown game was Matthew Stafford tied the record for most consecutive touchdown passes without an interception.
Yes.
He hasn't thrown an interception since the game against Philadelphia. And since then, he has thrown 27 touchdown passes. And I hope to see him break that record next week.
It would be a little bit funny if the very first pass of the game was intercepted by J.C. Horn, who returned it for a touchdown. So technically it is a 28th touchdown pass. It just went to the wrong team. And now, please inform the people of your NFC player.
So my NFC player of the week pick was Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 24 touches, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. If you saw the stat line and you asked who, probably would have said Jonathan Taylor. This one was Jahmyr Gibbs. He had an absolutely insane game. And frankly, the Lions would have been upset by the Giants without Jahmyr Gibbs' performance.
Pretty comfortably, yeah. I mean, even ignoring the long touchdown run in overtime, Gibbs was the only guy who showed any life on that offense. Hell, he got Shane Bowen fired, finally. Now, I'm going to pivot to Coach of the Week just because it is related to the Giants. Mike Kafka coached his ass off. Had Detroit on the ropes for 3.5 quarters. And then Jahmyr Gibbs said, fuck this. We're not losing 2 in a row at home. Mike Kafka, though, did an excellent job against Green Bay last week. Did a great job against the Lions this week. I'm excited to see what he has in store. I fired off a tweet during that game. Shut the fuck up. My Siri just won't stop going off. I fired off a tweet during the Giants game that said Mike Kafka might be trying to coach his way into being the full-time head coach for the Giants. It would be very interesting to see the offensive coordinator from Brian Daboll's regime take over and have potentially more success. But there are some advantages to that. He's familiar with Jackson Dart and all of the offensive players already. It's a new scheme, but not so new that they won't be able to learn it in the offseason. And obviously now he'd get to build his staff. He'd get to bring in an offensive coordinator. He'd get to bring in a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I believe he promoted because Kafka was the one to fire Shane Bowen.
Yes.
And he promoted, I believe, the outside linebackers coach to be the current defensive coordinator for the Giants. But Mike Kafka is absolutely deserving this Coach of the Week award. I mean, he is making moves. We both think that he's coaching his way into being the Giants' potentially not long-term, but definitely probably who they want in the short term at head coach. And I'm really curious to see what he's going to be able to do next for the remainder of this year, as well as next year with a full off-season under his belt.
Our AFC Player of the Week. Stop me if you've heard this one before. It's Myles Garrett. 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. We talked about Browns-Raiders last week, and the first thing I said was I want you to remember that Myles Garrett is very good. He had an excellent game. He's making it really hard to not pick him for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he is not the only defensive player to win Player of the Week. Jaquan McMillian won it last week over another outstanding Myles Garrett performance, by the way. But he is certainly the most consistent defensive name. Easily could have been I think, a 3-time reigning AFC Player of the Week at this point, in a row, dating back to Week 11, has been on an outstanding stretch. He is the only reason that Cleveland has any life whatsoever.
I mean, and I think I've talked about it on this show. I've definitely talked about it with you. Is that I think the edge position may be becoming overpaid. In Myles Garrett's telling me to shut the fuck up the last few weeks. I mean, the impact that he's been making is absolutely absurd. And he is currently on pace for 25 and a half.
I was just about to look at how many sacks he currently has and how many he was on pace
I believe
for.
it's like 15 right now.
He has 18 after yesterday. He has 18 sacks in, I think, 12 weeks. I think the Browns are maybe 11. Hang on. Let's see. Yeah, 18 sacks in 11 weeks. The Browns are 3-8. He has 18 sacks in 11 weeks. Over the last 3 weeks, over the last 4 weeks, he has 13. Sacks over the last 4 weeks. He had 5 through the first 7 games of the season, which, by the way, is still good pace. 13-4 is absurd. It's outstanding. Myles Garrett.
I'm sorry.
He is just that kind of player.
Myles Garrett, I'm sorry. I did not mean to disrespect you or your game. I did not know that I was not familiar with your game. Did not know you were like that.
Do you want to hear something really, really funny?
Sure.
You know who the only team in the last 4 weeks to hold Myles Garrett to fewer than 3 sacks was?
Oh. Tell me.
The New York Jets. Jets have a quietly outstanding tackle duo.
I know they've got is it Membo or Membao?
I believe it. I've been calling him Membu, so
Big Memb.
Yeah, the rookie.
I know
out
he's
of
been playing really,
Missouri.
really great. But holy shit, Myles Garrett. I was not familiar with your game. Probably going to shatter that record currently held by T.J. Watt and Michael Strahan. Most likely going to claim his second Defensive Player of the Year trophy.
I would just be happy if Myles Garrett broke it, because it's a tie right now between two players.
Right
I'd just be happy. We only need 5 more sacks in the back 6 games for Myles Garrett. I think he can do it. It's a tall task, but based on the way he's been playing over the last 4 weeks, who else would do it?
If he has another 3+, it's over. But anyway,
I just got a notification that Justin Tucker has a tryout this week. So on the off chance that you ever see this, hey, Justin. All right.
That does it for our
chart of the week. We started chart of the week.
That does not do it. Yeah, we've got chart of the week left. Our winner this week,
Caleb Williams, has been having a quietly outstanding season. His
first
numbers,
Bears quarterback ever, 4,000 yards.
I don't think he's currently on pace. He might have changed that yesterday, but I know coming into this week he was off pace for 1,000 yards.
Short by like 50,
or 4,000. The numbers have not been eye-popping for a lot of this year. Even his completion percentage this week, 19-35. That's not great. 239 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. That is really good. And Caleb Williams, just watch him play.
Yeah.
He has taken, I believe, the 3rd or 4th most sacks in the league, but he has far and away the most missed sacks force.
Yeah.
And that's the player that I saw coming out of USC and said, "Oh fuck, this guy could put the league in trouble." He's not quite there yet. I'd like to see him improve on his accuracy. I'd like to see him get more consistent with the short and intermediate passes. But oh boy, Caleb Williams, he's got it.
I mean, yeah, Caleb Williams, he's not a player. I think that he's not defined by his stat sheet by any means. You've got to watch it, and when you watch it, it looks to me like a young Russell Wilson. And a young Russell, the way he navigates the pocket, the way he gets out of trouble, the way he extends plays. And that's scary because young Russell Wilson is, in my eyes, a criminally underrated
Yeah.
quarterback in the 2010s. I mean, Russell Wilson was in it, for me, really the blueprint for the mobile passer.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams, absolutely pretty chart, good distribution, that touchdown pass, both of all of his touchdown passes. I mean, just a great chart, great game, and congratulations to Caleb Williams. Now, that will do it for our weekly awards this week. And we're trying out a new format for any of you guys have been following. We're trying a new format for the weekly records. We are now going to have our games that we agree on as one record, and then we're going to have the games that we disagree on as our individual records. And I believe our record, pending the Monday night game, I believe our record last weekend was, I want to say 8-2.
We were 8-3 between the two of us. We disagreed on 2 games. I got both of them right. I picked the Browns over the Raiders and the Packers over the Vikings. The Packers-Vikings ended up... Actually, neither of those games were ever particularly close. I got really close to correctly predicting the final score of Browns-Raiders. I had 24-17. I had 21-17. Final score was 24-10. I am trying to put together our yearly record right this second. So give me one moment. That is 78 and 49. Okay, so our yearly records. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go back and retro date this to include our combined records. But our yearly records, I am 78-49. You are 74-53. You have joined me in being 20-plus games above 500, right as I am on the verge of cracking 30. Hell of a week for both of us. 10-3 for me is my best week of the season, pending Monday Night Football. We both have the same result for Monday Night Football, so the distance between us will not change. But that will do it for the Headlines edition of Any Given Sunday. Thank you all so much for watching. It means the world to both of us that you would stick it through. Our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all linked down in the description below, as well as our wonderful executive producer, Holt Hendershot's YouTube channel. I think that's about it for this week, and we will see you hopefully in the main podcast. But if we don't see you there, we will see you next week.